Hey guys, what's up? This is Chris with Half Chrome. Today I'm going to get into a subject that I'm hoping is helpful for some of you. If you have an 8K or 6K drone like the Autel Evo 2, you get a lot of 6K footage that may be hard to edit. Now, I've got a few ways today to show you on how to edit those, and one way that the Evo 2 in particular makes this easier for you. Now, it's going to be somewhat software dependent, and I'll get into some of those differences for you, but the good news is if you do have the Evo 2, it really doesn't matter what video editor you use, it's going to be easy. So stay right with us here. I'll get into it in just a second. Okay, so I've got my handy little laptop here. Now, this is what I've been using for some time. It used to be a pretty good laptop. Getting some gray hairs now, just like me. Now Jack, on the other hand, he's got a lightning fast laptop that has no issues cutting through 4K-60 or 6K footage. Now in my case, I need a little bit of help, and you might too. So today I'm going to talk about 3 different ways to edit this high bitrate footage. That may come from 4K-60, may come from 6K or even 8K. Footage like you might get from an Evo 2. In our case, we have the Evo 2 Pro, so we're getting a lot of 6K footage, which really bogs down my computer. So the key to all this is proxies. If you have a video editing software that I'm not going to talk about today, I suggest you research that specific software and how you can create and use proxy files with it. Today I'm going to start off with Cyberlink Powerdirector. This is a low budget video editor. Has a lot of features in it like the bigger players, but is a little bit easier to use. And setting up proxies is actually super easy to use in this software. So all I'm going to do is go over to settings. Let's see what we got here. So right in general settings, it's right there. It says enable shadow files, in parentheses proxy files, on high-res videos. Now you can see the limited settings here. It doesn't say what is meant by high-res videos. Not really clear what's going on here, but it's going to put the resolution of your proxy at 720, which is where you're probably going to want it regardless of what video editor you're using. So I have that set up. Let me click OK, and let's pull in a 6K video file. All right, so I'm going to get a 6K video I grabbed on my Evo 2. We've used this one before, but today I'm going to show you how I can edit with. Okay, so the first thing you notice in Cyberlink, it has this little yellow icon here in the lower left corner here. And what that means is it's setting up. You can see it right there as I hover over it. Shadow file generating. So it's not there yet. Once that turns from yellow to green, I'm going to have a proxy file that I'll be editing with from there forward. But it's not ready yet. We're going to have to wait. While I wait, I'll take this moment to talk about Adobe Premiere. I suggest you search for a video on how to set it up. It's a much more manual process. The good news is you have a much higher ability to configure how you set that up. You can set the resolution, the bit rate, you can put a watermark on that proxy. So that gives you a lot of flexibility, but you have to do it all very manually. And then you can pick if you're viewing the proxy or the original footage as you do the editing. I kind of like this, super easy to do, but in either of these, you're going to have to wait for the proxy to be generated. You can see without having the proxy ready yet, this is kind of jumpy. Let's hit play here to see what it looks like. My computer fan is just humming away. I hit play. I got nothing happening here. Oh, just saw the smoke move a little bit. I mean, this is pretty brutal. You can't edit like this. There's just no way. So my computer's been churning for about 20 minutes on this one video that's just a minute long trying to create that proxy file. So I'm going to abandon this and move on over to my Evo 2 proxy that was created for me for free in a different folder. In my case, I have to kind of trick my software. I name the proxy files with the identical names of the original full bitrate, full resolution files. And I can just switch before, and there's a few ways to do that. You can move the files from one place to another, or just rename the folders that they're in, and then restart Cyberlink Powerdirector. I'll show you that right now. Okay, so I'm going to move over from my 6K folder. Instead, I'm going to go to my edit folder. Let me see what we have in here. We have right now 3 megabit per second videos. So these are the proxy files generated on the Evo. Now, I would argue they're maybe even a little too low on the bit rate. you're going to have some challenges sometimes seeing if things are as crisp as you want them. You're going to have a hard time judging maybe some of the image blur that you may or may not want, depending if you've got those ND filters working for you. So it is what it is. It's very low bitrate, very easy to edit with these, but you know, it obviously isn't going to look as good as the real thing. So you're going to have to kind of wait till that's produced to see the final result. Okay, so you can see here in my folder structure that I've got a 6K folder, a proxy folder, which is straight off the Evo as well, and an edit folder. And so I could trick my video editing software. I took all these files that were called THM, and I got rid of the THM at the end. And other than that, the file name was identical to the original video. Now I've copied those files over to this folder called Edit, and I'm using those identical files, just renamed, and I'm going to go ahead and throw that into my video editor instead. Okay, this time I'm going to use a different clip. I'm going to use the third file here, dragged it over, put it in my timeline, and I remember this was a specific part that I used in my edited version before. I thought it was pretty cool because I used the lookup angle on the Evo 2 to actually start just kind of looking in this in the, not the smoke, but the steam coming from the smokestacks. So let's see if I can now watch this. So as you can see, I can now play the video in real time. I wouldn't have any ability to do this without this proxy file. It totally enables the entire editing process. And maybe I'll just end it right around here after the sun passes back through. That looks fine. Maybe a little bit more than I wanted. I don't think this is actually the clip I used. I might have a better one somewhere else. But let's go ahead and use it. Alright, so I mean, you can see that's all there is to it. Maybe I want to do some color grading, right? I can do that also on my proxy files. Maybe I want to maybe add a little more saturation, a little more contrast. It's kind of washed out and smoky everywhere. I don't know, let's play around a little bit. So in this software, this is how you get to it. Probably going to look very different if you're an Adobe Pro user, for example. I'm just going to up the contrast. Why not? I didn't do this, by the way, in any of my other stuff. And we can just hit play here, see how that looks. Very blue now with a very orange streak through the middle. So I mean, I don't know, maybe that looks better to you. Let's leave it like that. Let's get to the final stage here, which is now to trick the software. So I have to save this file. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now I'm going to close my video editor. So now all I have to do is I'm going to rename this folder. I'm going to call it Edit P for Edit Proxy. I can rename it anything really. And then my 6K folder, I can rename that Edit. So this is just one way of doing it. The key is that the video editor is tricked one way or another. I could also move the 6K file over to the edit folder. Lots of ways of doing it. This time when I open up the software though, it's going to be looking again in the folder name edit, and this time it's going to find the 6K footage. Okay, I brought it in. As you can see now, I try to hit play and it is very, very slow here. It's not even really worth trying. It is trying to make a proxy file, but as we saw before, that's going to take a while. I'm not going to mess with it. I've already got the video trimmed out and color corrected the way I want it, so I'm just going to jump over to produce the final footage, and see how it looks. In this case, I'm going to produce this in 4K because that's all I need in order to throw it up on YouTube. 1080 would be fine as well. Alright, let's go ahead and produce. Let's see how long it says it's going to take. It might take a little while, even though this is a very short clip. Alright, it's done. Let's have a look. So unlike before, this is something I can actually now open and view in VLC Player. It's 4K. It's around 50 megabits a second, which isn't very high for 4K, but it's something my computer can handle. And here you go. Nice and smooth, no issues, color corrected, cropped just the way I wanted it. And there you go. Editing with Evo 2 proxy files. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it's helpful for you. The key is using the Evo 2 proxy files So if you've got a dog of a computer like mine has become, you can still get by just fine with them. Now, I would love it if some of my other drones had that feature as well. Until the other drones or cameras that you use have that feature, you would be forced to use the proxy file features that are included in your video editing software that I showed you today as well. Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this or want to see those videos that I produced using this method, make sure you subscribe and check us out at halfchrome.com. Thanks again.